Welcome back, everybody, to Shapes in the Dark, Session 3. We last left our intrepid band of rogues in a nondescript village somewhere in the lone lands of Arklanar. They'd been abducted by their vampire captors, as it would turn out, and spirited away to some hilly grassland region. But the last thing they saw was a dense, temperate rainforest, not unlike the Amazon, but much, much colder and more closely resembling like Seattle or possibly Denmark. But being enlisted into the village's night watch, and as the Gloomwillow cycles, morning and evening periods are now askew. Dawn, or what would now be considered dawn, comes at about 12:45, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and gets no brighter than, say, dusk during autumn. Daylight at this time is maybe 6 hours a day, if you're lucky. The rest is black as midnight. We left off on a scene with a decapitated and mushroom-festooned head rolling into just within the torchlight of this village's, I suppose, spiked palisade here. Just as the first blush of dawn peeks over the trees in the distance. The floor is yours, gentlemen. Keith, would you describe your character for us?
So Fernleas is currently he's a tall fellow, just right about 6 feet, with wearing a interestingly cut robe in the style of his order that he belongs to. He is a scholar and follows Evis, the god of knowledge of the faraway deserts. What you see of his face underneath his hood is very, very pale, almost alabaster color, peeking out from under the shadow of this hood, reflecting in the torchlight is a pair of eyes that at first glance appear to be red, but once one looks a little closer, they're actually closer to an amber. He's currently holding an unlit torch, and with look of amazement upon his face as this head comes rolling into the palisade. A bit amazed at the fact that there's something out there that could have done that to what he saw earlier in the day. He turns and looks at to his left, where he sees Tane. And I'll pass it over to you.
So Thorin stands there next to his compatriots, looking over top this forested landscape that they are watching over for the night. He stands a little above 5 feet, kind of a short fellow. His blue eyes kind of lasering in on every little thing that's out of place. For once, he doesn't have his loot in hand. It is actually properly put away on his back and shuttered so as not to make a sound from being touched. As they're going and he sees his head come rolling through, he has this look of bewilderment for a moment. We didn't hear anything. We didn't see anything. And he sees the mushrooms and his eyes kind of bug out. Like, the heck could possibly have done it to one of these things which up to this point was probably the scariest thing he'd ever seen in his life. So right now, Thorin kind of has like a butt clench moment because he says, oh crap, what else is out there? He doesn't look over his compatriots. He kind of just stares kind of slack-jawed at his head sitting just barely within eyesight.
Etain is in similar amazement and is thinking to himself that how the fuck could this get any better? As he's got his horse-haired fetish wrapped around his fist right now as he's clenching it tightly and saying a silent prayer to Agiun, his mistress, his divine mistress, if you will. And he reaches instinctively down to his broadsword, but it's not there. And as again he clenches even tighter, his darkened eyes begin to close to a slit as he says a prayer to Agiun, and then looks to his friends and says, well, I guess we're up, boys. And he starts making his way to the edge cautiously climb down from the wall. And I think we had 3 torches, so he's probably walking with one of the torches, and gets up close to it. Go ahead.
I had passed the 2 lit torches to you and Thorn, actually. I kept the unlit one.
Okay, as I'm walking by, then I'm going to lay mine down on his and lift it as he starts to light it up.
As you're doing that, you kind of hear some grumbling, some general like bitch moaning, complaining, like someone's struggling with something off in the dark, and so like mashed up gibberish between, oh god, you're much heavier than what you look, you wretched bastard. A thud, you hear a body drop.
Can I see what's going
on? It's just beyond. You can see in the spectrum, but you don't see the detail of like that shape. But somebody is fumbling out there with a body.
Oh. Okay.
And then you hear the body being dragged through like the mud.
I will point in the general direction and I say, "There's someone out there with a body."
As you guys are climbing down the ladder from the palisade, we'll say.
You're going to check it then? And he continues walking.
I suppose. So.
I was kidding. Come with. I think we should
He'll
start here.
Don't split the party already. Come on.
Well, I'm going to go this 10 feet over here to the head. Maybe you two can go take a gander from the gate.
Yeah, I'll go and look
through the gate. Do that, I suppose.
So, is there a gap like where the gate comes closed to the wall?
Yeah, they actually have a. I want to call it a gatehouse, but it's not a gatehouse. It's just this big. It's not even double doors. It's just one big door that's got bronze studs in it, and it's open.
Okay.
The head is outside the wall a good like 20 feet. So obviously, if there are torches up on the wall, you see the light shines out and then down, and then the head rolled just into like the influence of this torchlight.
I guess, that means the 3 of us, I guess, are going outside the wall and going to look at this thing. I'll keep an eye on that figure I see out there. So.
Okay. So who's staying on the wall? Who's staying inside the village? Who's leaving the village?
Were we given any weapons before going on watch?
Hell no, they don't trust you. You guys just showed up hours ago.
But they trusted us for watch.
Well, you got eyes. You can use them.
Is one of the rangers around?
Like
within like a couple feet away around?
You can holler to them. They're within
Right.
earshot. They're not near you.
All right. I'll just yell out that, hey, we have a head and we see someone. Can you cover for us? We're going to go out and check.
A couple of the younger warriors jog over on the wall, and they knock a few arrows as the complaining continues. Oh, I'm gonna have to bathe after this now.
I'll say loud enough for those near me to hear, but as if I'm just being a conversation with my friends. At least there's a few of them that are brave.
And with that, yeah, I will go out the gate and try to figure out what all this is about.
Okay. How far do you go out of, like, outside the wall?
Well, I have one of the lit torches. I'm going to go up to where the head is right now.
Okay.
And I'll take a gander at that with Kane if he's already out there or if he catches up to me, whichever way it is.
It is indeed the head that you spied earlier today.
Okay. Yep.
You hear actually make awareness tests quick.
Yay.
I would imagine that looking down at this thing, it's probably still, the mouth is still moving and the eyes are kind of, right?
13 here.
The eyes are open, its mouth is open, but no, it is not moving.
Okay.
What I will say though, its mouth is black, like ink. Its cheeks are stained black, similar to the fashion of shadow sickness. Your tears turn inky black. It's almost like dyed and permanently dyed your cheeks that way. Its eyes are kind of like a sickly, almost absent of color and almost absent of substance per se, which also might be terrifying. For those who actually scored, only Thorn's actually going to hear this from where he's at. You hear a rasping cackle saying, "The sun's about to have you, you filthy thing." And you hear someone fumbling around with rope.
If I raise the torch, can I see anything, or are they still out of reach?
You see a form out there, but no details yet. It's pretty damn dark.
Is the voice familiar at all?
Oh no.
Okay.
Similar accent to the natives of this region, but you don't know that person.
So
With a 16 shadow lore, what can I tell from the head?
This poor bastard has seen better days.
Was it shadow? I mean, that's pretty.
That's obvious. You don't have to roll for corruption. You're familiar with it.
I think we should probably burn it, right? Are we familiar with fire killing the shadow?
That is up to you.
All right. My curiosity is going to get the better of me. And I am going to walk out toward this figure. I'm not going to walk like right up to it, but I'm going to walk out to it so I can see it a little better.
So you're leaving the village.
Yeah.
You're passing your fellows on your way out there.
Torch held high.
Well, I was actually going to start walking out to it, but I'm actually going to take the shield off my back, swap it to my dominant hand, and have the torch in my left hand.
Oh, okay. Your left hand. Okay.
Not like up and brace, but like down there at my side to where I can still react with it.
Right. You guys
throwing shit at us.
Right. Yeah, you guys get out there. And it looks like there's you see a he's a pale, kind of like mid-height male ebon folk out there, and he's so pale he's almost
translucent,
veiny, Almost.
Oh, sexy.
Almost as if he has a blue tone underneath his skin.
A little bit. Whoever has what is that sound that keeps coming up here? Mike, is that your phone
Oh, no.
vibrating or no?
Is it me? Maybe? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It
Might be
sounds like
actually.
feedback.
I'm getting feedback from somebody. But this individual, obviously male, has his shoulder length hair tied back in a braid that's held together by a fey iron ring, and as soon as that light comes upon him, he just he doesn't look up at you guys. He's like half ignoring you, and he just rasps to you, "I don't need the light, but thank you." As
Neither do I say.
he's staking this corpse to the ground and tying him up.
You're doing us a kindness at the moment, but are you friend or foe?
He looks up at you and turns his beautiful blood red eyes on you and smirks. Well, that's up to you.
It sort of slips out when anything is like, by the gods, another one. Oh, I'm sorry. I sort of realized I said it out loud. I'm sorry. No offense meant. I apologize. So,
He
meant every bit of it.
he smiles, his fangs gleaming in the torchlight there. Oh, none taken. You're just food now too. He goes back to
Sure.
what he's doing.
So it makes you are acquainted with Farad then.
He looks at me, cocks his eyebrow at you. Well, I suppose well, we are acquainted. We are not friends. Goes back to what he's doing.
good.
Where
Neither
is
are
he?
we.
We've been looking for him.
Oh, yeah? Well, how long have you lot been here? He's dragging this body onto the road.
Since the
Long
morning.
enough.
Oh, you must be the new ones then, huh?
That's accurate.
Mm.
I do not like this game.
Most don't, but it's best to
Well,
accept the new order of things and find your place.
well, since you're not a friend of Farad's, can you tell me what the anklets are about?
Your anklets, huh?
Yes.
Oh, you mean these? He bends over and he pulls up his pant leg, and he's got one.
Yes. Those.
That binds you to this place.
Hmm.
This is home now.
I'm saying this quite loudly. It's sort of this look of the more he hears, the more disapproval he has in his face.
Right?
That was not the deal that I was given. Farad has much to answer to now.
This particularly young-looking vampire rolls his eyes and won't say more things. I see. Well, I don't know where he is. I am not his keeper. I am simply a warden in these lands.
Good for you. Is there some way that we can reach him?
Well, I suppose. You look long enough, you're going to find vampires here.
Well
Just
said.
kind of like chuckles to himself. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's quite clever
Very
of
vague.
myself.
Like the Mushroom Men.
Mushroom.
So you guys all turn into those?
He sort of motions towards the body.
No, these
Oh,
are rag men. This one's just particularly dirty.
I suppose. things. Semantics are important.
What semantics? There's only one kind of
He's
degenerate
ignoring-
ragman.
He's ignoring this guy now and pulling out his one plate that he fumbles it for a moment, and pull it the moment that has the notes about the mushroom men. Goes in there and crosses it out. Man, fine. Closes it up, puts it back in his pouch.
So we talked about that.
We did, but semantics are important, and apparently they don't understand out here. So, these, how these, what's the proper term for someone who's bumpkins are? Don't
Oh,
understand words properly.
country folk. Yes.
Yes. Generally uneducated and the like. At this point, he's actually going to get a bit annoyed because of the whole "this is now your home" thing. He's like, no, it's not. It is mine, and no, it's not. So
You need to get some sun. You look like shit.
you do.
The sun will be up here soon, and I should leave you.
And
But I'm here to speak to the babushka. Is she here?
I believe so.
Oh, fetch her for me, will you?
I'm not your servant, man.
All right.
I'll have
Fetch her
someone
for
bring
me,
her to the gate.
please.
We'll escort you to the gate if you're familiar with these people, but because we've been charged with the watch currently, we're going to do our duty. He kind of clicks his boot heels together.
I'm looking at the guy who's watching. But yes, I'll yell back at the walls. He wants to see the babushka. There you go. Delivered your message. And thank you, by the way.
That'll be 5 coin.
Nah, we'll waive it.
It's the first one's a courtesy.
Okay. I'll walk back up to the head, pick it up, bring it over, sort of toss it toward the body.
This particular vampire, he takes out another stake and actually he sets the head like facing up, and with its mouth still open, he actually stakes the head to the floor, which you see to the ground through the mouth.
Huh.
So everything stays put.
Are you afraid he's going to wander off? It's real hard to do that without a head.
You see the gears turning in his head. He's almost questioning if he should correct you or not. He just smiles and says nothing.
Okay.
You gonna be all right, Amorous?
Oh, he's not saying the word. He's going to snap if he says anything right now.
Oh, that's what he says. He's like, "Are you all right, Amorous?"
Hey, Amorous is just going to shake his head, and he's actually just going to turn and walk back into the village. If he sticks around, he's going to smack something.
With that, Fernless notices that his upsetness, and how like, oh, I understand that 100%. So, who should I tell the babushka has come to call?
Tenelok. She'll know who I am.
Tenelok. Okay. I shall. Do you folks still follow the traditions of the babushka, or do you not care
Which traditions are you speaking of?
that a babushka should not be harmed? Otherwise, they'll bring down the wrath of the babushka herself.
He just snorts derisively at you, of course. I'm dead. I am not stupid.
One never knows. So, in that case, I'll look over at Tane and said, "Do you want to watch him, or do you want me to watch him?"
He can wait out there by that staked head, in my opinion. We'll go stand at the wall.
Sounds good to me. We'll go see if we can get the babushka come to the gate. So she'll probably want you to come up to the gate so you can actually see what you look like.
She knows what I look like.
Interesting.
He actually follows you part way to the gate, and he actually walks up. It's about 40, 45 feet from the door.
Mhm.
And he pauses. I'm not going to make you roll for it. He pauses at this point, and there is some intangible presence that you can tell on the expression on his face that washes over him.
An occult insight.
And then he smiles, and he just mutters, "All right, then. This is far enough." And he takes a step back.
You got a whole 10 on the occult insight. So
Yeah,
I
no,
probably have no clue what's going on.
no.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll go up to the gate and
How about a
look
19?
around.
A 19 on what? Sorry?
Occult insight.
He had just been barred by the house gods of this place.
So at that point, he takes and just kind of brushes his hand across his horsehair fetish, knowing that she had a hand in it.
Yeah,
I'll go-
it's similar to the vampires can't enter your house unless invited. He can't enter this village unless the house gods let him, or the babushka lets him.
So I'll look see if the babushkas around when I get to the gate. If someone's actually went and summoned her.
She's actually she's leaving her house right now. You guys go into the village. Her tent flap opens.
Yeah, I'll just stop. I'll stop at the gate and wave to her, and then turn around and keep an eye on Tenalot.
He just stands there.
Yeah.
He's not smug. He's
very self-assured.
He's very confident. He's charming, but he's very confident. Obviously, you guys have your own opinion, but the babushka joins you, and she kind of like just peeks past you. She's, "Oh, all right," and she just kind of like pats Fernaleus on the arm. He goes, "I will speak with him."
Okay, I will hold my elbow out as if to escort her.
Yes, she takes it from you.
Okay. No,
She's this bandy-legged old woman in her mid-80s in the Bronze Age. Yeah, she wants help.
Okay.
She has been roused too quickly. She forgot her cane.
Okay.
So you escort her out. How close do you take her?
I will follow her lead.
Okay.
See how close she wants to go.
She'll stop about 6 or 8 feet away from him. Comfortable speaking distance.
Okay. And I'll make sure to hold the torch up in my other hand up a little bit higher so it's easier for everyone to see.
Okay. On the walls, mind you, this place is festooned with archers.
Yes. I figured. So I'm like, here you go, boys. There's your target. That kind of a thing.
Right? They don't have a bead on him, but they're ready.
They need to. They can.
Yeah. Yes. And Tenalok actually, again, he smiles, flashes his fangs at her, and he bows low, and he goes, "Babushka, I have come at my monthly checking in. I realize that I am 2 days late for this. What is the state of the village?" And she kind of just looks up at Fernaleus, almost has to crane her neck to look up at him. And she goes, "Well, you've met our 3 newcomers. Fita is... She is fitting into the village well enough." And just Tenalok just nods knowingly. And he actually steps to the side and actually indicates the the ragman that he staked out, and he goes, "How long were you aware that there was a pestilence in the midst of your village? I had made my rounds some weeks past, and I had not seen such a presence. He must have moved into the area just after I'd left." And she goes, "No, I'd not seen anything. The last time that we had such a thing, our sheep had been preyed upon by something. As you know, there are no wolves." He just kind of narrows his eyes at that. All right, then. What do you have as tribute this month? And she goes, "Well, I have some wool, hides. Fita has finished up a horse hide that has been our tribute for this month." And then she just kind of like looks up at Fernaleus and looks back down. Clearly, this woman is still like booting up since she was roused. And Tenelok just puts his hand up. He goes, that will be perfectly fine. I am but one man. And she says that there's, besides this is the most excitement that our village has had in some time. Give your thanks to your master that our village is safe here. He smiles again and nods, and he bows low. "I'll wait here for your gifts then." And that's when the babushka like tugs on Fernaleus' arm and has him escort her back to the village.
He'll turn and he'll support her, but he looks back up at his friends and he's trusting them to watch his back as he's walking away, but he's still holding that torch very high, so it's easy to see him. And then when he gets her to the gate, he's going to actually pause and sort of wave someone over to take her from at that point, and then turn back to the basically standing in the gate.
Oh, okay. He's better door than a window.
Yes.
He just stands there patiently in the darkness there.
Okay.
You just see two red eyes peering at you.
Okay. I'll literally be standing there until they come back. He's going to basically be a statue. So.
They bring back, 4 like big newly woven wool blankets, kind of like rolled up in like that big carpet, like tube fashion. They have the striped horse hide that Fita had been working on, and that's it actually. It's actually quite, from what you understand, it's the tribute this month is actually quite meager.
I'll actually walk with the guys. They're going out there to basically give them light for the walk. And as they're putting things down, I'll look at him, look at the fellow, I'll say, "Tenelok, I do have one question for you, if you may. If you have a moment.
Ask, and I will answer.
Have you by chance seen a horse nearby? Not a wild horse, but a horse that's obviously been very well taken care of, a mare specifically. And I'll describe Tane's mare."
Some weeks ago, a train had come in with new thralls, and there was a striped mare pulling one of them.
Do you by chance know where it may have gone?
One of its stop was in Royston, which is about some miles down the road.
Thank you for your time.
Southwest. but there are others. I highly doubt a wagon train of that size stopped at one village.
Understood. Thank you for your kindness. He's doing his best to be the polite person he's been trained to be, and he knows how you're supposed to be with people, but at the same time, it's hard to hide that
His distaste currently.
his distaste currently for this whole thing and this whole situation. And he'll
These
basically be torchbearer for these guys until they're done.
okay. These lads hand their things over, and he puts everything under one arm, and throws folds the hide, and then throws that over a shoulder as well. At this point, I mean, he's not wearing a cloak. He's got a war sword hanging from his belt, and you can tell the thing's actually made of ebon, but it's off. It's sheen. Ebon doesn't have a sheen. It's matte. This thing has a yellow sheen to it.
Do a cult insight on that. Oh, should I have better on this? 16 plus. It's going to be a 23.
You recognize the yellow sheen coming from this once the sun starts to come up. It's the sword itself is actually made of an alloy of ebon and gold.
Huh. Interesting.
You know that gold is an implement used to banish evil spirits and to slay demons and such. Differently than the way Fey Iron burns it away.
Right. Yeah, it's
vampire with
sacred to the sun.
Right.
Sun metal. Okay.
It's well, you would know that Yathites actually refer to gold as sun ore.
Right. Okay. So he says that in Yathite, sun ore. So
he nods. It dawns on you that a vampire armed with a vampire slaying implement doesn't sit right with you. Or maybe it does.
It gives me the idea that maybe there are factions, and that all vampires aren't necessarily that maybe they're contentious with each other. So he gets a little smile on his mind about that, and sort of he comes to his face just a bit, and he turns and bids Tim like a good day.
Half-breed.
I've been called that.
What vexes you?
He turns. He says, "The fact that I have been brought here with a promise that was not kept, and then bound to this place as a common criminal. That is what vexes me."
What was told to you?
I was told that I was coming to assist and to work for of course those who employed me, and that Woodman, and it lured me in with Balinor, who is one of my own kind. I was curious. Farad himself, well, he did not tell me the whole story before we ventured here, and we were not purchased as thralls, nor were we told we would become thralls.
That's an interesting notion in and of itself.
So yes, I am a bit vexed.
So you were promised work, is what the agreement was.
Yes.
You may very well find work then.
If I wanted to find work, I would be happy to do so in Felport itself, or if not Felport, in the homeland of my mother. So It's too. This is too almost too much for me to bear.
You know,
I do not mean to take out my anger upon you. You've done me no wrong. In fact, a kindness.
well, yet, should you make the wrong choices. That comes off like a threat, but he's
Mm-hmm.
you
Like as
kind
if
of
he's
get to
stating
be
a fact.
like yeah. He's being matter of fact, but it could be taken as a threat.
No. So he just sort of nods at that. He said, "I says understood." He said, "In that case, I'll bid you a good day."
Tenelot kind of looks at the sky, and as that blush of dawn starts to come quicker, he smiles. Just as you get just within earshot, he kind of mutters, "Oh, I miss it." But there's like a gust of wind. You turn around, and he's gone.
Interesting. I'll walk back up to the village, and at this point, since the sun's coming up, I'm sure we have a place to douse the torches.
Oh yeah, there's a bucket.
Well, douse that and walk over to Thorn, who I'm sure probably has a very unhappy look in his face. And I say, Farad definitely has a lot to answer to, but and I look over at Tane. I may have word of your mare. That fellow out there said he saw her possibly pulling a wagon some chain or so ago.
Southwest.
Yes, once again, that one village, Raybald, the name escapes me this moment. He said it was heading that direction.
I need to head out this day and find out. How far is Royston from here again?
Royston, that's correct. Yeah, Royston, yes.
About 20 miles, I believe. A day.
A day's walk?
Oh yeah. Maybe if you force march it'll be shorter, which is a 16 in traveling test and 1 grade of exhaustion.
Well,
I'm ready to go when you are.
I was about to
If
say that
feelings-
the two of you need rests.
If feelings could be tangible, you could cut his aura with a rusty, dull butter knife.
Oh yeah. I have silenced the bard.
Look on Fernandez's face says he's not going to get any sleep or any sleep soon. And he says a good long brisk walk might do me well.
I mean, just as the left side of the brain, with the information and the scene that you guys just took in, it would be hard for you guys to fall asleep anyway.
Right.
How long did you say a ritual takes?
That depends on the ritual and depends on what you're trying to do.
So what I would like to do is I would like to provide us the aspect of endurance.
Mhm.
Not only the fact that we have not really slept since yesterday morning, and so we're probably kind of tired. Just give us the energy for the march and to avoid the exhaustion for travel.
Okay.
Invigorate us. Give us endurance is my thought.
Well, make me a sight roll, and if you can, Well, if you make it, you can sack 2 spell points for that. That should affect the party, and you narrate to us what the ritual entails. Glad I'm not doing anything right now, because that was a crit.
So I just got a 16 total for a spirit roll.
Okay. What does your ritual entail, and what is he actually exhausting for it? This will probably take you a couple hours.
Exhausting for it.
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
A lamb.
Not the baby lamb.
Actually, according to what I have here, the common sacrifice is caring for and leaving food for wild horses or burning the first portion of the new harvest. I don't think I could do either of those, but I could care for the horses.
You did that yesterday. It wouldn't account. It wouldn't count for this. This obviously this spell cast, but
Right.
We did
That-
just harvest on our way into the village.
I don't think they'd take too kindly to me burning it, though.
and that wasn't Dave. That was Mike actually foraging for wild animals.
Right.
We could actually go out there to the same spot and see if there's anything else there.
With a crit, he's cleaned that whatever that garden was out.
Okay. Yeah. Worth a try.
There might be a second one. You don't know.
If
Glad
you
to
roll
look.
another crit, then I will let you do it.
Hey, Chris.
No, you fucking didn't. Shut up.
I didn't.
So it is dawn, and that's typical time of prayer for it,
Right.
for Agiun.
Mm-hmm. So hop to it, shaman.
Blood sacrifice is acceptable, but it doesn't. You don't have to kill it.
I don't know. Do you?
I think it depends on the request, and in this instance,
Or the
we're-
god.
Yeah.
So what would Tane feel on this day? This morning?
He's feeling a lot of.
Besides the obvious. I'm talking about regarding to the ritual.
What's he feeling, or how's he going to commit to it?
Yes,
Okay.
both. This is all you narrating this. This is the ritual system is mostly narration on the characters part.
May I give some input about the idea of this?
Go
As
for
a
it, Keith.
suggestion? Seeing that you are going to try to retrieve your, I'm just going to use the word soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
You might pray to Agiun for that endurance in pursuit of rescuing one of her special mayors, and maybe make something up that would be common for, say, to give to a horse to make them feel more endurance, say like a drink mixed with apples and oats or barley and stuff like that, and then basically feed that to us to infuse
That's a
us
good
with
point.
the energy the horse might.
So there's this flurry of action in this little hovel that we have, and I begin pulling stuff together with what's available, and I begin to slow down as it becomes like this meticulous sort of pattern making of pulling things together and drawing the cuts out long practiced. And as I do so, mixing it all into the bowl, and then taking taking the
keep going. Keep going.
Yep.
I'm just putting
Taking
notes
my
somewhere.
taking my hand and I bring it down like a hoof and sort of swish the stuff around within, and I begin chanting the ancient prayers. And as he's doing so, you can actually, if you're looking closely, you can actually see shimmering coming from like a golden light coming off of the cord. And it's at that point you see Tane kind of start to grin because he feels the warmth of her power working. And he steps back and turns around and produces it to his two friends. And he says, "Now the fun part." And he holds up his fist that's covered in this substance that looks like oatmeal with stuff in it. He gets to clean his hoof off, and he starts licking the stuff off, and it's getting into his beard and stuff. That's for later.
Hey, man. Totally fine.
Right? So he looks to his friends and he says, "Thank you." And she thanks you too.
Cornelius looks at the bowl and reaches into his belt knife, pulls it out, and starts scraping a bit up and puts it on his tongue. And says, "So it's not bad." He starts eating. And then
It's kind of fruity mush of it all, right?
Once he's done eating, he goes to his flask and looks at it, shakes it a little bit, opens it up, and just takes one small swig and closes it up again. He didn't want to actually add it to the mush, so he didn't want to do that to offend your goddess.
I will say though, had you would have fouled the entire spell, and no effect. I will go ahead and reduce your traveling test there. If you make it, you won't get exhaustion for this march. And guys, by the way, party quartermaster Heath.
Yes.
Did you remember what was in the garden?
I hadn't actually gone. I did not about that down last time, but I will now.
Go get that.
Am I traveling?
You had a handful of apples in there. Sack those for the ritual and be done with it.
It's a 23 on my traveling, so.
Okay. We will kind of do a passage of time montage here and do a brief. Let's see here. Dave, give us a brief soliloquy as you guys are traveling from your village to the town of Royston here.
You actually see Tane. His brow is still furrowed, but he's moving with a purpose. He's sort of like he'll take about 10 steps, and then he turns around and looks to Fernelius and Amaris and kind of calls them, like, and continues this pace, sort of like just an excited slave driver, so to speak. It's trying to keep his friends up and moving as he is determined on the path. And hopefully his friends notice this, because he's paying attention to the road, but he is not necessarily paying attention to the surroundings. But he's like, come on, we must keep going. We will push through, and hopefully we can see it before noon.
You push on. There's a point. I will say all three, well, not all three of you. Tane doesn't notice this because he's preoccupied. You see a line of spiders. The fae of the party see a line of spiders cross your path and disappear into the tall grasses to the east, there's a small, I want to say, a small forest off in that way. Between there and you, there's a it's kind of a rocky crag. These spiders are going in the direction of this forest, but they're almost single file, strangely enough. The odd things that happen on this journey.
We do once again a couple insight on that. Actually, yeah, couple insight. Oh, I did pretty good on that one. So let's see. 31. So,
Wow. Well, obviously, spiders don't actually act that way. You, being of the Yathite tutor, scholarship, there's not much in the way of spider lore, we'll say, amongst that culture, but your Umbriad background might lend to spiders gathering being an ill omen of something.
okay.
Something to come.
Just what we need. More bad luck.
Yeah, I'll mention that's moved about the fell omen. So, step over them. Do not step upon them.
And these spiders range in from maybe a dime-sized huntsman spider to the size of a goddamn dinner plate from the bayou.
What is,
camel spiders from the desert. Got it.
what is this? What are we doing here? I did not even see them until you pointed them out.
It's just an omen. So we should accept it and not dwell too much upon it.
If you choose to see it as an omen.
It is an omen. So,
Damn it.
a fellow one. And this is a bit odd because usually Fernandez would be the first one to go, ooh, where are they going? And start following them. But at this point, he's like, that's a bad sign. So
Maybe we should sprint for a little bit.
maybe so, yes.
Tane just seems all too eager to just comply as he starts bounding down the road.
Try to keep up with it.
A few more hours on the road, sometime really in the middle of the night, the next day, really, you come upon the town of Royston, a permanent settlement with stone buildings, a stone wall. A watch greets you outside the gate.
Just one point to make sure before we get too much further, because I don't want to get too far and not have done this. We did retrieve our possessions from the village, yes?
Oh, about that. Yeah, no. I was going
I just want to make sure.
I was going to fuck you out of your weapons.
I was going to say that I was going to do that, but then we got caught with the ritual and I forgot.
Damn it! I was going to have you guys go into this place unarmed. Shit. Oh, you're slick, Keith. That's pretty slick. Anyway, you're at full strength now. The watch meets you. Well, actually, a couple lancers actually meet you somewhere out on the road by torchlight. Excitingly enough, you are threatened at lance point, lance being a broad-headed spear, and you are ordered to state your business in that, again, strange accent of this place. But as far as you're aware, these people are mortals.
We seek Farad.
You just kind of look at each other. They look
We
back
have business
at you.
with him.
Why?
We have business with him.
three strange brigands on the road wish to speak to a vampire, and you claim that you have business with him.
Well, he
I'll show
seems
the
to have
anklet to him.
lost us.
Thorn shows them the anklet. They reach down. They pull up their
Yeah.
pant leg too.
He seems to have lost us. Last I recall, we were traveling with him and Ophira, and we seem to have gotten separated on the road.
We have something important to return to him, and it's
Yes.
not meant for others' eyes.
Which is an obvious lie.
Do I need to lie?
That would be a deception test. Come on now.
Okay. Since I don't have deception, that's spirit, right?
That's a -4 to your penalty. Actually, -4 penalty there.
I will laugh if he crits this.
Oh my God! Please do. I would love to see a crit. He doesn't crit. Did you crit?
No. I got 3.
Damn it! You got 3. And so these lancers
So
look at you.
I see the expression and I just say, "We are in his employ. We wish to speak to him." It is not uncommon for people to speak to each other, is it? Is it so uncommon in this region?
Farad owns no thralls. If anything, he is thrall.
We are not thralls. We are in his employ.
He has no employees.
Well, you're meeting his first ones then, aren't you?
We were contracted by Ormond and Valinor, who were at the time in the service of Farad in Felport. We were to be taken to his castle, and we appear to have gotten separated from him. I'm sure it's just a minor oversight on his part.
I'm just curious. You have quite the formidable city. Just speaking plainly here, do I look like one who is going to come in and ransack your city? I am not threatening you. I'm just saying that. Do we look like we're? I imagine formidable. At least I would hope so. But at the same time, we're not three
quite.
that could take this city down by ourselves. Maybe.
Which you assume the gate captain of the two, the older one. He takes his helmet off and he says, "So what you mean to say that you were approached by Ormond and Farad was traveling with Ormond?"
Yes.
Ah, I see. Well, I am not at liberty to say where Ormond's location is, but if you are associated with he, then you may enter.
Thank you.
You're most
Yeah.
kind.
He does owe us wages.
You will, however, surrender your weapons.
Okay.
I got 3 eye rolls on camera.
I would imagine all 3 of us did that
And
too,
they
probably
were
in character.
They were simultaneous.
Payne throws his
I'm
head
being
back.
completely
And
in character.
says,
I don't give no fuck.
Payne
I'm
just says,
completely in character.
this
Don't fuck
whole
yeah
thing
anymore.
cannot get any fucking better. No, it can't.
Oh, I'm crying.
So,
Papers,
so
please.
for Les will actually cross his arms at this point, look at the fellow, and he'll say, "So you're saying one who is employed by Ormond is not worthy of being armed within a town, or is this a general law?"
Well,
You alone obviously could take them out, right? The
he
way they're
does
acting.
kind of point at Thorn with the like the tip of the spear. When I say point, he kind of like pokes him and like lifts up one of his daggers with the tip of his spear and says, well, technically this one is perfectly fine because they're shorter than his forearm. You two, on the other hand.
So does one be to be a mere member of the city guard to be armed with something longer?
We protect our own, yes.
I look down at my ankle, look up at his ankle, and apparently what I have been told is I am one of your own.
That remains to be seen. And the younger Lancer, you see, he's probably like a private or a corporal, kind of looks across him with a questioning look, and he says a couple words in a language you guys don't understand, assuming the accent the language the accent belongs to, and the gate captain, the Lancer, just kind of like holsters his spear and kind of lifts up his ankle like onto the saddle and then like rolls up his pant leg, and he shows you the runes on the inside of the ring. So let me see yours, all of you.
As you wish. He'll Fernandez will pull off his boot and turn that deal out with the runes.
And the rest of you?
Thorn will tilt his ankle so they can see inside.
Similar.
I feel truly invaded by this gazing upon my ankle as such.
I know. Normally I get paid for this on the road.
Yes.
Should you wish to be harlots in the brothel inside, then you'll have to speak with her then.
Is that what the City Watch does for extra money as we start walking off?
Oh, he does not let you walk away. No. Yeah, you're held at speared point until he actually examines your anklets. And
I did. I showed him my leg.
yes, but he's inspecting your runes. But let's see.
That's what it's called here.
Inspecting. I turned my head and cough. Sorry.
You guys are gonna get yourselves fucking killed.
What?
But yeah,
that's out of character. I don't think we would have known that at that time.
But your runes do match his. The jetstones do match their anklets as well. And he actually apologizes for his recent intemperance. Then yes, you do belong here. He just wheels around his and the private's horse there, and they escort you inside.
On the way in, I'll ask the private. So what are you called here? I'm called Fernandez.
Rom.
Rom. So Rom, say a chain or so ago, a caravan would have come through, most likely with Farad in attendance, or at least possibly one of his lieutenants, or I guess in this case, as I have understood it now, Ormond, or one of his lieutenants. Was there by chance an odd-looking mare pulling one of the wagons that you recall?
How do you mean by odd?
I'll describe it.
Most horses have stripes.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of looks at you blankly. He goes, why are you so fascinated with this Farad now? He is nothing. He is... Why do you believe that he was in charge? Did he say so? He says it almost accusatorially.
We had a game of chess with him that we needed to finish.
And from what I was told from him, because he was the one doing the talking, he owes me money.
Yeah, lots of money.
I do not understand your meaning.
His offer was of an employment. as in we were to be going here and we were to be given payment for our services. So I am eager to find him specifically because he is the one who said so. And if he was not of a station to have offered so, then I'll be asking for redress to his superiors for his overreach. So,
If it was Ormond that he was traveling with, then you should probably speak with Ormond.
and yes.
And speaking of the unique features of the mare in question, it would be different because the mane was braided, and the ears were unique in that they were very pale in comparison to the gray complexion of the coat.
He's not a horse expert, so he just looks at you like you're talking at him.
You're-
He just rides them. He doesn't care for them.
That's your loss, my friend.
Would there be a person to speak to that might have? I'm asking him, someone who maybe have taken care of horses like that in town. Is there a what's the word for it? A furrier? A ferryman?
Farriers who makes the horseshoes.
Farriers, yes. I'm sorry, I'm not. I look over at Tane and sort of smiles. I'm sorry.
Fern is also not a horse person.
Thank you,
No, he's
Forge and
not.
Fire.
Who is the herd keep? It's a broad enough. I'm thinking it's a broad enough statement that typically carries.
The private looks to the captain. The captain points down the road. Do you see that paddock there?
Yes.
There. It's like good 300 yards down the cobblestone way. It's on the main thoroughfare. And the captain says, if you spoke with Ormond, he belongs to Lady Adra. She is within.
Adra. That's yes, I've heard that name. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Adra. I may need to speak with her at some point. As I said, her agents did employ a scholar of Iblis. We normally don't come cheap.
Mm.
So,
You realize at this point that Tane has now walked back because he had started walking away and Fern kept talking. So he's pulling on his hood.
You guys are already within the city walls at this point.
Yeah.
You're walking and talking.
He's wanting to walk over and talk to the herd keep.
okay, so yeah, he
I'm leaving. Come along.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
He says,
he'll-
well done, boys. Your work is done for the day. Great job maintaining the peace. He's just smiling at him. You don't know if he's being sarcastic or not.
He sort of smiles and looks at Rom as he's being pulled away, and he says, "Thank you very much for your kindness, Rom. I'll remember that, and I'll flash him a alluring smile."
How's your spirit?
24.
Amherst?
Wow. He just Rom just looks up at the captain with his very uncomfortable look. And he says something that strange language, and the captain says, "Do not flash your fangs at the boy."
Oh, I apologize. I did not mean to imply anything. So he'll do a sort of his best impression of a graceful bow that he's seen Thor do occasionally. He'll turn and run to catch up with Tane and them.
How's your spirit, my friend?
He is remarkably silent and tight-lipped, and he is just going through the paces right now.
As Fernaleus is lagging behind, he stops and he just gets in front of you, not like in an aggressive way, just sort of, you must learn to be in the moment and focus on what's at hand.
Oh, he's focused. You can see it in his eyes. He is focused. He's
Yes.
just trying not to snap off right now.
He just says, well, Things will work out, my friend. We have to believe that.
I know. I know.
I miss hearing you, the strings. As we start walking again, it's just somewhat unnerving when they're not being plucked.
The music doesn't flow at the moment, unfortunately.
It is a shame. I think this is it right here, isn't it? It was just down the street.
Yeah, a few hundred yards down the
Okay.
street. But yeah, you come upon for the size of the town, a rather impressive paddock that's got we're gonna say 42 head of horses.
Not bad. I've seen larger. As he reaches and grabs his pouch and kind of shoves it into his leather hobart, and go up to the. It's probably got a shack out front. That's where they take the dealings or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of less of a shack, more of a lean-to kind of thing. But yeah, there's two
Okay.
guys there.
Hail and well met.
Morning.
How fares thee this day?
Well, it rained all of last night. The road is quite muddy, but well enough. The horses are still fine.
Excellent.
I didn't have to water them this morning. He smiles.
Oh, I usually find a treasure in that, but I hear you. Do you? I'm looking for a mare, a beautiful sort. That she has a gray coat and braided mane.
She's
The
not
ears.
a beaten down nag, is she? I saw one like that, but more of a
No.
nag a few days ago.
A nag. No, she was not a nag.
Here, let's see if he actually remembers. Son of a bitch, with a 3, he don't remember shit. He tried.
I look at his friend and I reach into my collar and sort of, reach in and pull out a copper for now, and or let's say 4 copper, and I start clinking them in my hand, and I look at the other guy. How about you?
What color was her hair?
A gray mane. I'm sorry, a black mane, gray coat. The stripes were almost charcoal. The ears were almost a pale white, which was unique in her breed.
I don't remember seeing a horse like that. Again, I rolled like a 5. Here we go. This is what kind of session it's going to be. I'm going to roll like shit the entire time.
Just shit luck all around the whole freaking session.
Right. Yep.
Nothing. You can't. I mean, would have been a wagon train. I'm trying to remember. You said like a week ago.
There was one wagon train, and it was some 2 chains ago, but they had moved on to the east. They'd stayed here for a good 3 days, and then they moved on. Some of their horses stayed and came out fresh bonus, actually fresh with fresh mounts, but I do not remember a horse of that color.
Strange. Okay. Well, I give them each a copper then, for at least.
Are you
something?
An outrider? Were you set upon and your horse was stolen from you? I could see. I could look.
Well, kindness. Be kindness if you let us go and look at the herd here. I mean, my friend Tane here would recognize that horse immediately.
Yeah, I can-
If you could, in the meantime, if you should wish it for another mount, I have plenty. If I see a mare of that description come around, I should keep her and safe when you come back, shaman.
that would be appreciated. She is more than just a mount. She is my mount.
I see. He dawns on him. Say, oh. Well, then I apologize. Your Eminence, I don't know. I did not see.
Eminence. I haven't heard that tongue. He looks over at Fernaleus like I haven't heard them speak me of that since my homeland. I'm flattered. Might I walk through your herd?
Some of the stallions are foul-tempered. Should you wish at your own peril. He just shuts the fuck up at that.
Boys, do you mind?
Of course not, Your Eminence. And Fernandez grins at you.
Ah!
Tane is not laughing at that hard, but he's kind of chuckling as he says thank you, and he kind of hides it by just trying to walk past him to the gate.
As you were, Dave, go for it.
So do they have a bucket of oats over there or something?
They're kind of clustered around it. It's in the center. It's a barrel, is what it is, and they're kind of like all. It's a massive meat, hooves, and mane is what they're doing.
Oh, they're currently eating. I guess it's.
Oh yeah, they're having a grand old time.
Well, I would imagine that they're not all able to get into it at this time, so I am going to, I guess, make a husbandry check and begin just inspecting the herd.
Go for it.
I got a 12.
They're a little more skittish than you probably feel comfortable with. But they might just be new to a new pastor. That could be many things.
Right. Well, it is morning. It is dawn, and I take the opportunity to just go through a series of poems and prayers to Agun, which all I have to do, considering the circumstances, I'm in my element because I'm in her temple, and so I am just using the learned practice of approaching and giving attention to the different horses and so on.
One of the younger-ish stable boys, he's probably 16 years old. He comes up with kind of like a hide bag, and he goes, "Here's some apples, Your Holiness."
Thank you, young one. It is appreciated. Would you like to help?
I'm a bit frightened of the stallions. There's a few that are a bit headstrong for.
Yeah, they can be cocks.
He smiles, but he kind of like sheepishly like shrinks away from you.
Stay near me, and we'll feed some of the mares. Here, I'll show you. And I just bring him over and show him a good way to deliver the apples so you don't feed your hand along with it, where you hold it like that.
No fingers. Yeah, no fingers.
No fingers. And so I show him and just, you know, and so yeah, I do some time to spend with the herd, and as they finish eating or whatever, I will give more attention, but probably about 10 minutes. And then, I mean, I only give the kid a couple to, otherwise he's probably going to get all freaked out. So it's up to him if he wants to stay.
After a few minutes, you've got a crowd of horses, male and female, really all ages, but some of the the asshole, more dominant males of the herd, kind of like, fuck you, 2 legs, and they stay away. But after you've got a crowd of like a good 15, 20 around you, and again, you're happy as a clam being surrounded by that massive animal there. The kid, he kind of like warms up to you as well as a couple of the other horses there, and he's not afraid if you're there. If you move away, he gets like, oh shit, and he follows you.
It's always good to beware the where they put the hooves. It's sometimes it's their way of establishing dominance or just being a dumbass. But no, you're not all dumb. You don't hurt humans unless they hurt you, of course. But he carries it on. It uses it as his morning prayer to Agiun, and
perfect example of morning prayer.
As he's walking back to the gate with his newfound friend, so to speak, his eyes settle upon Thorn, and his elated face and sort of bright eyes sort of diminishes as he just thinks to himself that if he could have only passed that feeling on to him, he might not feel as dark at this moment. But it's something that takes years of practice. So he just comes out and sort of claps him both on the shoulder and says, thank you for waiting.
How about we get a brief soliloquy from the other two while Tane is amongst the herd. Mike, take us away.
I mean, unfortunately, there's not much to say about the Bard. He has effectively locked himself away, so to speak, at the moment. He does get a slight smile seeing Tane be back in his element, so to speak, and seeing him enjoy himself again. And he gets that almost sinister smirk that his 2 compatriots are used to him seeing, but it kind of fades away kind of quickly.
Disappears as quickly as it came.
Yeah. Amherst, he'll just kind of look around as Tane is doing the thing with the horses. He's looking, but he's not really taking in. It's more of a just, all right, we're here. What are we doing next? He has officially been caged in his own mind, I guess is the best way to put it. The songbird has muzzled itself.
With, I will say the 2 of you, when you actually can look upon Tane I suppose, within the temple of Agiun there, you do see kind of like that golden dawn that those of you who are old enough to remember the sun will see. Ever so slightly, he has a, unbeknownst to him, however, he kind of shimmers as one wholly of that faith would, performing the deeds of his deity. And we will switch to the mind of Fernales.
So Fernales, as he's waiting, lights his pipe, lamenting at the meager contents of his little pouch of tobacco there. And in fact, it's a bit drier than he normally likes it to be, and very, very much less of it than he normally would have. He takes a twig and a bit of straw and lights off, possibly the braziers nearby to keep these fellows warm. And he looks up and he's never actually watched Tane do this. I mean, he's seen it the past couple of days with a few horses here and there, and he saw how he took care of his own mare, when he's been with him before. But he's never actually seen him in a large herd like this. And he always knew he wandered off, at dawn to do this, communion with the horses. And he always thought he probably just goes around and brushes them or whatnot. But the more he puffs with his pipe, he's sort of watching this whole drama play out in front of him. He almost forgets to puff on his pipe as he sees this aura about his friend begin to sort of glow and shine. And it reminds him, as you mentioned, of the old days when there was a dawn, a proper dawn. Just prior to the sun rising, how the horizon would turn this golden, this beautiful golden hue, and the sky itself would light up with different tones, and those tones would just eventually merge into one beautiful blue, or if the clouds were out, the spottiness of the white floating across it, or even those days when the rains would come and it would be just a uniform gray, but that gray that would become brighter and brighter. He sees that now in his friend, and he catches himself staring, and he thinks to himself, this is an amazing thing. He starts noticing little details and whatnot. And literally at the time that he seems to just lose himself for a few moments. And before he knows it, he sees Tane walking towards him out of this herd with this young man with him at his side, and he realizes, he goes to put his pipe and realizes it's gone cold. He looks at it, and he's like, just written that down. Nah, we'll have to ask him to do it again later. And he relights the pipe, get a couple of quick puffs off of it before Tane comes back over to him.
I appreciate you waiting.
It was a pleasure. Getting that last puff or two off of his pipe.
Please let me introduce my new friend. We haven't been fully acquainted. My name is Tane, and he reaches down to give him a handshake to the boy.
He kind of just oddly looks up at you, and he shakes your hand, almost like in the forearm clasp of a warrior there.
Wow, that's a strong grip, young man.
He just smiles and doesn't say anything.
Well, this is a good herd here.
Yeah,
be smart, but don't be afraid of them. Go ahead.
He nods. I will, Your Holiness. The vampires breed horses for their mortal hour service. He just kind of like now that he's actually finally thinking about it, maybe, and he just kind of like rattles his anklet. He's barefoot, but that's. But if you're new, then you should probably go up to the keep and speak with the masters there.
Thank you. By the way, have you seen a mare of a gray coat with
the
dark
one that you
charcoal
spoke to Father about? I've not seen either.
Worth a shot. Thank you for your assistance today, Agi, and thanks you too.
He gives you a bow and he goes and runs off.
Also, she's not here. Do you fellas think you're ready to go see the masters at the castle, as he says?
I look over at Thorn. I think we're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, the smile's completely in character. Yeah, right.
turn list, tamp his pipe out, make sure there's no burning embers on the ground around him there, and put it back into his case and back into his pouch. Now's as good a time as any.
You soldier on into the town of Royston, and it's almost kind of got like a stepping stone kind of pattern to it that kind of goes over a half circle, and almost partway built into almost like a large hill. You go up from the bottom tier where the gate is, you go up to the next, which is a residential area. The one up above that is another residential area. The third tier is more like an artisan's kind of gathering place, sort of tier, like for like public works and more open gardens and such. As it gets higher than that, it's more militaristic and armed to the teeth, almost quite literally. The higher up, there are more vampires, you see, and there may or may not be vampires as the Watch or as peasants here, perhaps. But you do find, remarkably enough, the end of, you assume, you would like to think, wishful thinking, the wagon train that you were a part of. You are on the 5th tier now. How do you wish to proceed?
I'm just going to pull them off over to the wagons. So that, horses.
Yeah, Tane starts scanning the livestock that are around the area.
Towards the front of the train, you do, in fact, drum roll. Guess who, Dave?
My mare.
Yes. Seemingly happy as a clam pulling a wagon or just being active or what have you, she has a bag of oats tied to her face in the feeding fashion, and she's being left the fuck alone.
So I'm going to approach her and I'm going to begin asking her, how is she doing?
Make me a premonition test here.
So she's standing there, still attached to a wagon?
Yeah, the wagon train has stopped, but she is being, like, fed. She's still hooked to it, harness and all. But
that guy said the wagon train stayed for 3 days, then left. So, oh joy.
Mm-hmm.
They may have come back.
A premonition is 24. Yeah, when you address your companion, she looks upon you, and almost like a strangeness comes over her, like she doesn't recognize you. You reach out to touch her, and there's just like she shrinks back from you, like shy. Like, why by all the gods is she skittish of you? You have no idea. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Tane begins, as he asks her this, he reaches out to touch her and she shrinks back, and he just sort of holds his hand back, like, and begins to frown, like, what did they do to you?
You don't see any, like, signs of abuse or anything like that. She just, for whatever reason, does not recognize you.
Can I get a husbandry check?
Please do.
$25.
25. Yeah, no.
Two explosions on that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, she's not harmed in any way. That just there's kind of a listlessness in her eye when she looks upon you. There's a pall of something. You're not sure, but that's almost like you're trying to recognize someone or regard someone through a fog. It's misty.
Can I get an apothecary to give her to try to see if it's natural?
Yes, please. Whatever training that you have as a physician, you probably can apply that here.
It's a total of a 12.
You cannot actually tell anything natural at this time. Obviously, something is off, but
Cult insight.
sure, if you want.
Just run through the gamut here.
Yeah, right.
25. No, I mean, I would imagine that Tane is trying to think of everything at this point to try to see what's. So I got a 25.
Going through the Rolodex of skills. Well, there is a sorcery there. You're not familiar with it. She certainly stinks of sorcery, but now that you actually look at her as a subject, all the horses seem to have a stink of witchcraft about them.
My knowledge of aspects, would I be able to possibly break through with the blessing of Again?
Nope.
Yeah. He just looks over at Amorous and he grabs the hilt of his sword. And then looks over at Fernley. You see him gripping his leather or his horsehair braid, and it's in his fist as he's gripping his hilt.
Fernless will stroke the hilt of his own blade, and as he's watched this whole frantic examination of this horse that he's seen Tane be so close to and it not register at all that him other than just any other human. He's seen this horse but Tane almost to the ground after being separated for only a few hours. And this sort of looking and then going back to the eating, it's painful for Fernley to see. So his mind, he's going to be looking for someone to answer some questions. If they choose not to answer the questions, well, you may have to ask more forcefully. So he walks over and puts his hand sort of on the hilt of Tane's sword, just to sort of not forcefully, but just sort of let him give him the message of hold it for now. And he says, "What do you feel here? Do you see what were you seeing? Show me." He's going to look at it from more of a academics type aspect of it, of the lore of shadow he knows.
Right.
And see if it's that's going to be a 16.
As Tane begins describing this, he's at first he's kind of rushed with his words. He's I checked her haunches and the those musculature and the skeletal and the skull, and everything seems fine. And then I've checked her spirit, and she's distant. She's distant.
Do you feel she's harmed? Has her spirit been robbed from her?
she's under a pall. All of these horses are under a pall. Look at her eyes. She's not alert. And he
He
looks
does that.
into her eyes like expecting you to see what he sees when he at the moment he's not
Yeah.
thinking of that though.
That's okay. You know, basically, what he's looking for is any of the signs and such of shadow, and then he's just going to do a general look at her awareness test.
Just her, or
Well, I'm looking for anything that I'm assuming I've seen this horse several times before. I'm looking for anything that's out of place, anything that's different.
No, like I said before, she's perfectly fine. Tane
Okay.
would have found anything that was unhealthy about her, but your Shadowlore test from before,
Yeah,
you now see the dark haze.
she's
Not
tamed with the shadow.
not here, not her. She's not the subject. The entire city is.
Oh.
So it's like walking into a dark room that has smoke in it, and you turn the light on, and there's smoke still there, but that's black.
He'll sort of at that point sort of start looking around, and he'll look at the people around, and he'll see the tank there, look at the buildings, the horses, and he'll look at himself even. Does he see it on himself, or on his friends?
Much less on your troop. But yes, it's there. You're just not being actively taken.
Suppressed. I'll look over at Tane and Thorn and say, this is an unhealthy place. The sooner we retrieve her and be away from this, the better. I would feel more comfortable sleeping under the boughs of the tree or in a ditch than in this town.
And Tane's already,
the
as soon
shadow.
as you said that, he started unharnessing her from the wagon.
You can do that, but you try and lead her away. She will not come with you. Not willingly.
So horsemanship at this point to try to coax her into.
Go for it.
It's a 12.
She initially resists you for some time here. She's not going to be aggressive, obviously, but there's obviously some misrecognition there. But she complies if you are forceful. Well, I mean firm, not forceful. Excuse me.
And the whole time I'm speaking to her in her mind, it's me, and reminding her of our bond.
That seems to not do anything at this time.
Okay. Yeah, well, I keep leading her out, and
where are you actually meaning to do this? Are you just going to leave? You have, what are you planning on doing?
well, I mean, I got the impression from Fern that he wanted to leave. So at this point, he knows something's wrong with her, and so he wants to get her out of the pall, if that's the case.
Okay. We'll take a 10-minute break here, and we'll be back. And then we will take our next step there. And the floor is yours.
So Tane is following the suggestion of Fern, and he is leading his mare out of the city.
Fair enough.
As we're walking along, Fern's going to be looking around him, and he's looking for a place like a rise in a street where he can get a better look at the overall city itself, and see if he can tell, is there a darker area of this shadow, maybe where maybe coming from? If there's maybe it's coming from below, it's coming from above, or see if there's any indications that you might be able to see.
There's no hills high enough nearby to actually be able to give you an advantageous look upon the city, but the haze, now that you're aware of it, seems more or less clouded around the settlements of the areas.
Okay. So I guess with that, we'll be actually, as we're walking, I'm just going to sort of be, I guess, walking ahead of of Tane and the horse Thorn, and I want to sort of set a pace and see if we can maybe pass by that paddock of horses we passed by, and see if it's any brighter there because of Tane's earlier prayers.
I won't make you roll for it, but you do in fact see that there is a bit of a fading light in that area.
Past that, as we walk past that, I'll look back over at Tane and I'll say, at least your goddess's reach is long enough to touch this place. Yeah, I don't believe we should be spending much time sleeping in the city, though it pains me not to have a bed tonight. I was so looking forward to that.
Hey, he says he's like half listening to you.
So I guess we'll just take it all the way out of the gates, and then go out to.
You guys, we will reconvene out on a nearby hillside.
Okay. All right, and guess we'll set up a little camp here, and let Tane work on his mare, and I'll break out our meager supplies of the couple of apples left, and I believe we had a couple of turnips and some field carrots and some wild cucumbers as well.
Your apples are gone at this time.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple of turnips with some wild cucumbers.
Mm.
So.
And what's left of the berries, of course.
And what's left of the berries. So, guess we'll put together just a meager little meal if possible. Actually, as he starts gathering wood, he looks over at Thorn, who's been very quiet and might be eager to kill something. He says, "Would you mind looking around here to see if there's any game you might be able to pick up? Grab me a hare or something along that lines. You could put in and make a stew."
Yeah, I'll see what I can find. Wild lore for that, Rafe?
Yeah, wild lore for hunting.
It's a 23.
Wow. Yeah, he'll be gone for a few hours and come back with he'll come back with 3 grouse under his arm.
Right. Nice. So
One of them is nice and fat.
provisioning allows me to cook, right? That's the one.
Yes. Yeah. Provisioning.
Okay.
Provisioning is cooking.
So
How do assist work for this? Because I have provisioning as well. So
Yeah. If you also have the skill, it gives him a +2.
I have a 19. So
Oh well, yeah. He
that's before the
he
+2,
doesn't need
so.
it. He doesn't need your help.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sure I probably had Tane help me build a fire, but then I get the little pot of our pot going with a bit of water and put a few of the turnips in there and maybe slice up the cucumbers and start a little stew. And then add the grouse to it when we get there. I'm actually gonna take one of the grouses that's nice and fat and see if I can't strain some of the blood into my flask or try to bleed them.
Okay. Yeah, that should actually put you back up to a +1 for your provisioning morale there.
Okay.
That's for all rolls, by the way, all tests.
Okay. Awesome.
With that, yeah, anything else you guys actually want to do within this scene before we actually move on to the next?
I would imagine that Tane is probably, continuing to be close and try to be very attentive to her. This time.
Yeah, that's there. Whatever you're trying, you're not able to break the sorcery that is on this poor animal here.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that once we get that stew done and we eat and we sit down for a moment and sort of relax, that exhaustion is going to come over us. We've been holding it off for almost 2 days now. We haven't actually slept.
You guys are nearing 3 levels of exhaustion at this point.
So yeah, it'll be
exposure.
It'll be one of those deals where we'll probably. Well, I know Fern Leos he'll probably be sitting there thinking, trying to write stuff down, but his mind's wandering because he's so tired. And he'll probably at some point nod off. So probably with his tablet in his lap, back against a tree and stylus in his hand, his head will probably just go forward onto his chest, and you'll probably hear him lightly snoring.
Once Fernaleus's lights out, what do the rest of you do?
Thorn would actually try to keep watch from the direction of Royston, like looking at that closest gate. But yeah, I'm assuming eventually his head would just drift downward and he'd just be out.
Yeah, I would imagine that Tane comes over and just says, I'll take first watch. Get some rest. And Tane continues to try to walk and just keep his blood moving so that he doesn't collapse himself.
All right.
So I'm going to take first watch, and then since Fernaleus fell asleep second, he'll get up next.
In the meantime, Fernaleus dreams of a scarlet-colored ibis floating on a wide river. On the right hand of the river is a shadow. On the left hand of the river is a shaft of sunlight. That is the only thing that you see. You are not allowed to interact with this or change it or manipulate it in any way in this dream. Just unable to move or speak. That is all you dream about.
All right. So he, when he does wake in that dream, he'll probably be just feel like he just closed his eyes. He'll puzzle on that. Do a premonition roll. See if that gives me an idea. That is going to be for premonition. That is going to be a 29.
When you awaken, it dawns upon you that the river was flowing in the direction of this shadow. But the ibis stayed in one place.
Okay. He thinks on that for a moment and processes to his mind that he'll actually probably say it out loud. The river's flowing the shadow. And he'll wake up and stretch himself, realizes he left one of his precious wax tablets open, and currently close it up and clamp it up and make sure he has his stylus, make sure those go into place and in his pouch. He'll stand up and stretch. The river's was going to the shadow. He looks toward the city. Is there a stream or a river nearby I can see? Can't hear you there, Overlord or Overseer.
You can. There is no river that you can see.
Okay. There goes that idea. Well, Tank, get some sleep. I'll make sure your horse doesn't run off.
She is quietly grazing some 10 feet away.
Okay.
On the grass, minding
Well,
her own business.
He'll make sure she's there, and he'll go get a few more pieces of wood, put it on the fire, and take a seat. And he'll start quietly humming a song that Nephthys taught him. It's one of the songs that's sung in the temples of Ibis across the sea in the land of the deserts. So just sort of almost like an afterthought. Maybe just to keep his mind busy, and as he constantly thinks on that river, and that red ibis. So
the night passes somewhat uneventfully, albeit maybe fitfully, uncomfortably, but the night does pass. What would be dawn in a normal sense, if the world was normal, your companions awaken.
good morning. I'll be warming up some leftovers of the door now before stew. So, and may have added a bit more grouse to it this morning to, to give it a bit more fortification for the day, and label some out to Thorn. Look over at Tane and get him some without meat, just the turnip, a few pieces of turnips and cucumber, and hand that over to him, and ladle me out a good-sized bowl and begin eating it, and wolf it down as much as we can before we put the fire out. Well, gentlemen, where do we go next? We don't know where the rest, any of these fellows have gone, unless we go into there and that point toward the town, and risk ourselves, our very souls even, as he looks over at the horse.
How is she acting this morning?
She's just grazing. She's just grazing for the night.
Like a normal horse. She's currently laid down, like in the where she was and sleeping.
No recognition this morning?
Like a normal horse.
So I begin the process. Since it's morning, I'll go ahead and just start praying over her and give her half my bowl and work on that.
As you perform your morning ablutions, we'll say the city begins. Not the city. It's not a city. It's much too small to be a city. The town begins to awaken. The sounds of the blacksmith and a cockerel in the distance meet your ears on the wind. You're on a windswept hill with long grass, maybe about ankle high. What do you do?
So I think to get more answers, we're going to have to go into there. What do you think, Ting? Is he going to harm her to bring her back into that town again?
Is that mist still over the town even with it being daylight?
Yep. You didn't notice it before, but it is definitely a shadowy place.
To see how much shadow is, how would that be an apothecary?
No, you don't need to roll anything here. It's just the whole place is bathed in a mist.
I meant to check her and see how badly she's been affected by it.
Oh, nothing's changed from the rolls previously.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of would go back to that other village and just figure out where to go from there.
We could do that.
I'm pretty sure stepping foot back in there is not going to be kind on the soul.
No, it's not. But at the same time, I mean, what kind of answers are we going to get to the village we already have?
Well, the babushka seems to know a lot.
She does, but even she was pushing us toward this town. She was saying that anything I might want to know would be here possibly or beyond. But if this small town is this bad, if we go into a larger city, how much worse is it going to be?
We need to be stronger.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we do.
Maybe Emrys is right that we head back, and
maybe could you possibly lay a blessing upon us to protect us from the shadow for a short period of time? I don't know how your prayers work, or if they can even do that kind of thing, but so to the overseer of the game, could he by chance do something like that, or is that within his purview, or no?
Well, he would know that his god is associated with light and the morning. It should be within his purview. The shaman should know this. Oh, no. Headphone issues. Do that spaghetti thing you did last time and you got angry with the wires and plugged it into something. God damn headphones. Fuck, jeez, there we go. In the interim here, let's go for some I'll go for another soliloquy from Fernelius here. As you look upon the town of Royston, what do we see in his heart?
With that dream the night before, he thinks that the river may have been the path forward, leading into shadow, and he himself associates himself with the red ibis. And he's always been a being of two worlds, a light side and a dark side, because of his his ebon folk heritage and his vampiric heritage. And though he does not want to lead his friends into the darkness. He thinks that might be the only way out eventually. He'll have to actually confront those who have brought us here and either win our way out or may. And he admits this for the first time because up in this time it's been in his mind it's been sort of like an academic exercise. You know, it's been it's outing. We're going to see things. We're going to see new things. Yay, blah blah. And it's finally dawning on him that this may be a situation that maybe the only way out might actually be the end. The exit that is death. And he looks over and hears the beginning strains of a song from Thorn, it seems like. He turns his attention that way.
Wow. The
Exploded
song
twice.
speaks.
You're right. It exploded twice, too.
Do it. Take us away.
No. So, Thorn's listening to his companions, looks back to the village they came from, and looks toward Royston. Looks like right at that keep that they were right up against, and you can almost see the snarl like in his aura of, I really don't want to deal with this bullshit, but we gotta do what we gotta do. And he will unsling his loot. And you actually see this with like the most trepidation you've ever seen this boy have come across his face. Because he will go to do the first chord, fully expecting the string to snap, the notes to turn sour, something to go wrong. And actually, no, he's not going to do Bloody Tears.
Oh, right. Okay.
Not yet. No, actually, he is going to pull on all of those songs of the sun overcoming the shadows. And he will play like he is bringing the goddamn apocalypse with him. And as soon as that first chord strikes, and he hears it course through his veins, he will play like it is literally his last concert on Earth. And if need be, I will burn 3 spell points to affect the party and whatever bonuses this may give.
All right. Go ahead and exhaust yourself. I will. I'll look that up for you. Do you guys?
Well, as he plays and as this begins, he will just walk straight back into town.
Okay. Fair enough.
Sorry, no.
Take it away, gentlemen.
I will follow him like a rat following the Pied Piper.
Tane just looks at his friends, looks over at his mare, and just does a running leap into the saddle.
Make a horseman check here.
Double ones.
You are bucked out of the saddle.
Sweet.
Make me a reflex test here quick.
Might have to
That would have been
those
so
dice.
epic if you could have pulled it off, too.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you get for reflexes, Dave?
13.
Oh, okay. You take 10 points of vitality damage as you topple to
Sweet.
the floor.
Just what I always wanted.
Yeah, she's not ready for that level of contact yet, but once you're able to recover from that, of course, the pain that Thorn has written for us does indeed carry you through, and you continue your crusade in this dark place. You march all the way back up what would be the Stone Manor, which to call it a manor is to take the glory away from this stone structure, which would be a small keep. You have before you kind of an elaborate folly overgrown with ivies flowering with white flowers here, and the vampiric guards that are out front manning this gate. The gate is open, but they do not accost you in any way. It's almost as if you are expected.
Of course we are. No, yeah. Amherst is making a beeline right up that damn manor.
Oh, you just walk up to the place like you fucking own it.
Right behind
There you
him.
go. That's totally fine. Pied Piper has point. You open the front door, you find yourself in the foyer. There is a handful of servants here, not in rags, but in poor clothes, walking around, attending their daily tasks. One of them looks up at you, but doesn't really give you much recognition. You might have seen her from the wagon train. You're not quite sure. It's been a few days, but she certainly does not recognize you. You stand in this this entry hall, and again, it's silent, save for the bare feet on the stone floor. How do you wish to proceed?
Is it just a straight shot down to it be like the main rooms and the main hallway?
You would assume. You can assume that.
Okay. Well, since they have a look like they're expecting us, why don't we go be expected?
There's a place where you can hitch your horse outside, or probably leave her in a yard to graze. They wouldn't obviously let her inside, but there's a front lawn there amidst the folly that she can kind of have her way with, really. As you go in, the three of you, into the main entrance area, you do see a handful of familiar faces. Thank the fucking gods of light. Something. You do see Oromund there. He is attending a stunningly beautiful redhead sitting on a throne. She has an army of serving girls attending her and her needs. One of the girls pours out an ewer of obviously blood into a cup as she takes a sip from. She looks across the way and sees you three and gives you a winning smile. A winning, knowing, almost as if I had planned this smile. How do you gentlemen wish to proceed?
I'll return the smile, and I will turn it on all the people in the room. Just come in looking like the beauty that I am.
That you hope you are.
Well, with an allure roll at that point of, here's it again, 33?
Wow. You're quite impressive.
Yeah, I'll come in doing my sachet.
All right. The floor is yours, Keith. You have the con.
So As Thorn walks in, I'm off to his looking at him from the front. I'm off to his right. I assume the Tane is off to the other side. I see all these ladies in here, and this obviously lavish lifestyle compared to what's outside. I'll throw the hood back, revealing my beauty, and literally just smile at every single one of them. I'm sure every eye in the place at this point is on me. And I'm going to walk up to this lady, take one step further to my friends, bow to her, and I'll say, "We have finally arrived." I will shoot Ormond the most exasperated look, as if some servant has failed in his duty so profoundly that it's not even worth mentioning at this moment. So, and I'll look at the lady. I look at her, and I will say, "Let me see here.
Give
Would you
us
by chance
that Umbria charm."
Okay. I will look at her and I'll say, "Would you by chance be the Lady Adra I've heard so much about?"
She smiles warmly, as much as a vampire mistress can smile warmly. She goes, "I am."
Well, I present to my my companions here the Bard Thorn, known up and down the coast from Felport to points many have never heard of. He knows most songs that have been sung and many that have never have been.
I'm aware of him. His
My other
reputation
companion-
does reach here, even here.
Yes. My other companion, Tane Halmain, shaman of Agyun, Horse Lord beyond compare, and of course myself, the humble Fernleas, scholar of Evelys.
The half-breed.
Well, that is one term for it. Yes, my father was of your kind. My mother was of the Umbriads, children of the night, Feldane's chosen. And I will emphasize when I say that, Feldane's chosen. And we have been brought here to perform a task. Yes, Ormond? I look at him.
You are, or were.
If we were, then we should have been paid prior to this, not left like rubbish in a field.
And our possessions taken from us.
Your possessions were taken from you? Adra just kind of looks questioningly up at Ormond. She doesn't say anything. She's just like, "What the fuck did you do?" Look on her face.
You took my mare.
It was a high insult to a shaman of Agyun. It was a holy bond. He is sorely harmed. I'll literally lay my hand open on my chest as if my heart has been struck.
Did you retrieve the thing then? Is what he says. Again, she's looking up at him like, "The fuck? What?" Like she wasn't notified of this at all.
I look at Thorn, and then I look at him, and I just start walking forward with my hand on the broadsword.
Do you actually attempt to walk up the dais?
There's guards on the dais?
There is nobody between you two, but there are guards on either side of the room.
So as I begin walking up there, then I say, the three of us came of our own free will, by choice, to be sellswords, as you say. You must have needed us, or else we would not be here. But I feel compelled to ask, are we captives, or are we free men?
Ormond, what? Ooh, that's a good question. Thank you. Fuck yes.
And I am going to turn that gaze upon him as if, like, so disapproving. Yeah, going full diva here.
No, yep. he said, he takes a long moment, like very. You can tell he's very carefully choosing his words here. He says, "I apologize for your troubles. Unfortunately, I suppose that my previous associate was less than knowledgeable of your
How
exodus
convenient.
to here."
Not a thing.
What is not a thing?
My mare is not a thing. She is my companion.
Ah,
She is a
I
gift
see.
from the goddess Agyun.
You hear kind of a hiss out of Adra, who's just still sitting, and now you turn your gaze to her. She is giving her pet the evilest, blackest look that you could see. And honest, I'm actually going to need a shadow defense test from all three of you here, because she is.
What is that?
That is spirit plus level. 2d8 spirit level. Tell me if you break an 8. Oh.
23.
20. The beautiful song still lingers on Thorn, and he is shielded from the horror of this visage. But your two companions take 2 grades, or excuse me, 2 points of shadow sickness as she snarls at her pet. She goes, "That is not kind, Ormond."
Neither is that. I say, kind of like, just feeling, moving my hands down my arms, like.
It makes your skin crawl. Ugh.
Yeah. Can you please refrain from that, madam?
That
Amherst would
kinda-
actually be.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I think Fern Layers was trying to say something before I did. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say, Fernless just appears to actually wilt at that. It just sort of shrink back just a bit from that whole thing, and maybe he's not that confidence he had from a moment before is beginning to.
As you can tell, she can put the entire room in their place with a look.
Amherst, since it didn't actually affect him, he feels it wash over him, but he's actually going to have that stoic look again. And he's going to look right at Oromon and say, "You didn't answer the damn question. Are we free or are we not?" And he is getting increasingly agitated and pissed off. The beautiful woman be damned, and she could probably tell.
And since she seems to be calling the shots, I kind of interject and I say, we need to have a certain level of trust in order for any of this to continue. And while I do not agree with your way of life, we have to consider that we came with an agreement, a bargain. Or are we just being polite until somebody dies? And he just leaves it out there like, somebody's going to die.
Ormond just gives a kind of like a half bow and steps back. But he's been successfully cowed. He does not say anything.
Didn't answer the question.
No, he doesn't. He does not answer the question.
If looks could kill, Amherst would be shooting literal daggers at this man right now.
Of course. Oh, I'm well aware, Mike.
Oh yeah.
So where do we stand?
She composes herself. She kind of like smooths out her gown and kind of like sits up. straighter in her chair.
Tane actually puts his foot on the first step and kind of stands there, just takes a pose. Ready to receive what she has to say. But his hand is on his sword, not threateningly, but he's leaning on it.
He goes, I apologize. You gentlemen are... She just turns around. She again shoots a look. He wilts. He wilts again, and he just kind of like steps back into the shadows. And she goes, "Get out of my sight. If I look at you, I'll kill you." And he dips the fuck out.
I'll mutter, someone's being invited to dinner tonight.
She... Ooh. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't sneak that by her. She gives you a delightful smile. Goes,
I'll beam at her as best I can.
After she made you wilt just a few moments ago. She, like I said, she composes herself and says, I apologize for your recent hardship. This recent trip to the city was to acquire more people for our villages. And my house seemingly had made the mistake of pairing or coupling with another house, and was less than forthcoming with, it seems, quite a few of you being more or less purchased or seduced, or I believe the sailors of the mainland referred to it as Shanghai. When she leans forward, when unsuspecting mariners are knocked over the head with a cudgel and then they wake up on a ship days out of port. Is that true? Is this true?
Felported, yes. I've heard of it.
Yes, that.
Befelled.
And
Cruscan.
I believe I am so sorry. A terrible fate has befallen you.
I'll sort of speak up and say, I can understand a mistake being made, us not being fully informed of the extent that our contract might lead. But the mere insult of dropping us off outside of a small collection of what can only be considered as mud dwellings.
That was not my doing. You have my sincerest apologies.
Maybe we should have redress with the one who did it. You said that you were allied with some other house in this endeavor? Maybe they owe us redress.
They will not.
Or do you need this Ormond taken care of? We'd be happy to accommodate for that.
I will see to him myself.
We'd take great pleasure in those.
I'll let you watch. Complete deadpan.
I'm not into that, but
you get a moment. There's an expression that flashes across Vernlance's face for a moment, and he sort of grins just a little bit. That grin that reveals those canines, but then he hears Tane's statement, and he sort of backs off that grin just a bit and looks over at his friend, and he thinks to himself, I need to control that side of myself.
Don't you dare show your fangs in my house again.
I apologize. It was a reaction. I'm not accustomed to being around this side of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You will learn the way of things.
Apparently, yes.
You must accept the new order of things. If you do not, then the sun will take you. or some other horror out on the plains will take you.
Hold a moment. You're implying that we are going to accept and become one of you.
That was not my original intention, nor is it mine now.
That seemed to be what you were saying, but I speak very plainly. I don't speak with the flowered tongue of a serpent. I mean it in the most beautiful way, of course.
You're calling me a serpent?
Cloying words of such a beautiful creature lure people in. It can be very beautiful, right? Maybe my tongue is not passing for the language.
She looks past Tane and looks upon Fernley. Where is this one from?
It's from the far north. I believe they call themselves the Geats.
Oh.
Yeah, one of those.
That's why you are strange to me. Farad belongs to an opposing village, opposing tribe that would more seduce and deceive their thralls into coming here. I prefer to offer them a better place to live.
I looked at her for a moment and I said, let me converse with my companions for a moment, if you will. As you understand, we are a bit distraught because this is not what we expected.
She nods.
And I feel myself more burdened about that than them, as I was more eager to go than they were. But if I may, is there a place we could sit and?
She indicates like a side chamber where like perhaps like a meeting area or a lounge would be.
My friends,
take your time. I have all the time in the world for this.
Let's go and speak.
So just to get my answer, we are no longer free men is what you're saying, correct?
She says nothing to you, but her expression answers your question.
Petulant?
No, she just gives you a look that gives you the answer that you didn't want to hear. But there's definitely regret and sorrow in that look.
As Amers turns to go to the side chamber, he will say quite clearly and with no trepidation, I expected better. I heard better stories than this. And he will walk into the room and won't even listen to her if she has a response.
The rest of you will hear her murmur, "So did I."
So once we get inside, I'll get together. I'll say, well, it looks like we're in a situation here. If we draw swords and fight, we're going to die here.
You still have one of your tablets?
I do.
Is there a blank portion?
Yes. He
So
keeps it open and shows it to him.
I point to my mouth and I say, and then I point to her and I say, she can hear us.
Okay.
Just keep talking. And I just say, and I hand you the thing to start writing it out. So maybe just say what you're writing out. That way we're talking and then wiping it off on the tablet and just sharing the conversation via the tablet.
I'm going to do a cunning check to make sure I can actually pull this off without sounding horrible.
Ooh.
That's going to be a 12 for a cunning check. So I may sound a little bit stilted.
You sound. Yeah. It takes you a little bit, but
I'm gonna put a few ums and ahs in there. What I say is, we are in a foreign land that has different customs than we are accustomed to. And what he's saying is, he's writing this out. He's saying, are you men ready to die today, to shed your lifeblood over this? Or do we work toward some future freedom? So, and I say, maybe, and I say out loud, I don't see people here being treated like they were thralls, as the thralls in Felport are. I haven't seen a single slave here yet.
Probably because they're all slaves. And he begins writing out, I'm ready to die, but wouldn't it be better to be more prepared to fight, to possibly live through the fight?
Okay. I look over at Thorn with that, and with a questioning deal, and wipe the slate, hand it to him.
He's just gonna write down that he has no patience or temper for them. We either need to get these things taken off, or something drastic is probably going to happen.
Okay. Fernelius nods. He says, Thorn, my brother, I understand that you're a free spirit. You wander where you will. This is probably the hardest on you, although Tane cannot be much easier, as you're a man of the plains who's used to your home is the back of your horse and the side of the road. Me, I'm a simple scholar. And as he's saying this, he's writing out, maybe we should get more information about them, find out their weaknesses, and how to exploit them. So, and he says, of course, I'm willing to learn what I can here. And he points at that.
Tane says that he grieves for what's happened to Kane. That's what he said, or what has happened to my mare. It was a travesty. But what he's writing is that I believe that's a good plan, but we need to get the anklets off. I think we need to press for that.
Okay. He Fernelius nods, looks to it, and says, he says out loud, there's no harm in learning a new culture. And he writes out, that may not be possible yet. But yes, that definitely needs to be one of our goals. And he says, if nothing else, maybe she can, I don't know if she casts the pall upon your mare, but maybe she knows how to lift it. And he writes out, we need to be able to study these anklets and understand them better, so we know how to remove them. It could kill us to remove them. He says, maybe we can rest here for a chain or three, maybe even as long as a cycle.
But he makes this motion of like the cloud over the city.
Yeah, and Fernelius sort of holds his hands up, like shrugging, like I don't know, and he writes on there, I think the vampires are the source of that.
It is a nice city, even if it is kind of droll. And I say that out loud. And then I write, for the offense, maybe we should ask to have the anklets taken off and have her restore my mare.
We never, and I'll nod, look at both of you, and write it down. It never hurts to ask. You never know until you ask. So, are we going to accord to that? And
Amos is just going to nod.
Okay. He'll wipe that portion clean, and he'll say, and if we are refused, which I have the feeling we will be.
Killer. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Okay.
He
you see that,
actually
and you actually see Amos fingering his daggers. Like he fingers one of the bronze ones, one of his good ones.
Yeah, you see, as Fernles, as you guys are doing that, Fernles writes out very quickly. He says, there may be only one way to remove these anklets, and that is to remove the ones who place them there. But we need more information. So, what say you? Shall we offer our services for the time being? Secure comfortable lodgings for ourselves, and if nothing else, have you reconnected with your mayor? One step at a time, I say.
Aye, I'm in accord.
Thorn, I know this is hardest for you.
He'll just nod.
Okay.
If he opens his mouth, it's not going to end well.
So then let's proceed back in and give our answer. I'm sure she's wondering what's for dinner tonight. Oh, no, she's not. We already know what's for dinner tonight.
It's Ormond.
As you enter, or enter back into this this meeting hall, you see Ormond actually standing there, like part way up the dais, and she is, Adra is quite literally browbeating his her pet, and she goes, "You allowed these people. They are not chattel. They are not animals. They're not pigs or sheep." And she stands at this, and every animal that she names, she takes a step forward. They're not sheep. They're not pigs. They're not even mammoths or the other horrid things of the forest. And she grabs him by the throat and she screams into his face, bending him backwards, "Why did you let this happen? You were supposed to lead this, and you let Farad seduce all of my property, these people that we were supposed to care for and to nurture, these songbirds and the artisans that are put upon and stomped on by the shod boots of the rest of the world." And she's strangling in him at this point. "Why would you do this? You were my favorite." And as you kind of, I'm assuming you're still walking up, probably a little bit slower because this is a horrifying thing. You
Savoring it.
Right? You actually spy Tenelok actually off to the left, and he's got his arms crossed, and he just kind of shoots the three of you a sidelong look out of the corner of his eyes, and he's like, and Adra lets go of Ormond for a moment, and she almost like caresses his cheek for just a few moments. She goes, "Oh, you poor lost broken thing." And she grabs a fistful of hair on the back of his head, and she feeds upon him right there. I'm gonna need another life force test from the rest of you guys.
Okay.
Spell defense. Actually, not spell defense.
Shadow defense.
Thank you. Shadow sickness.
Double eights.
Oh shit! All right, nice crit. Well done.
Self-control roll.
It's a self-control roll to hide the erection.
15. Well, no, it's literally he's seeing this feeding. He starts salivating.
How about
trying to control that side of him? So.
22.
22. Oh, nice. Tane, brother Tane, Your Holiness, Tane Alicious, the shaman extraordinaire. Brother, you take.
We'll have a new character next week, or
no? You you take on 3 grades of shadow sickness.
an additional 3.
An additional 3,
5,
so you have 5 total for this session. And
I've had more.
Yeah, you'll be fine. She her fangs. By the way, Fernaleus, her fangs are beautiful.
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous.
This is a sultry, beautiful goddess of teeth in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide
the color of that red crimson blood, and that beautiful white pale skin, and that red hair is just it's a thing of my dreams, literally.
Oh yeah. That's your dream woman right there. She feeds upon him just for a few moments longer than probably you guys don't know, longer than comfortable. This isn't comfortable at all. And she lets go of him, and she plucks a handkerchief out of her cleavage somewhere, and she kind of dabs her lip there, which again is ridiculously sultry, and then she growls, "Dispose of him." And that instant, Tanalok is galvanized into motion as one stroke, that ebon and gold war sword is drawn, and he splits Orman from the top of his head to about the center, is just below his sternum. As he guides this corpse to the ground, his flesh sizzles. He draws the thing clean. The corpse is cauterized. There is no blood on the floor. What's left of Orman topples to the dirt. And here we will close the session. Let's go with closing soliloquies. Thorn, buddy, me old mucka, let's hear it.
Well, if he was in any other mindset other than completely pissed off bard rage right now, he'd probably, be head over heels for this chick. But honestly, as he watches this and he steels himself again and he realizes kind of what's coming, he actually smirks as Orman, in his eyes at least, gets what was coming to him. And even when she says dispose of him, he is still just smirking. But it's like that malicious smirk of, yeah, I'm smiling, but I'm still going to fucking stab a motherfucker. Just give me a reason. And even with Tanalok coming out, he's still glaring at him with just disdain because it's a goddamn vampire and he just hates them all right now. But other than that, he would just look back at her and just, there's no lust, there's no love, there's just, get this shit off of me, or I guess shit's gonna go down. I have no patience for you guys. He knows what he has agreed with his companions. That is the only thing keeping him civil right now.
Fernaleus, your erection is poking everybody in the face.
Yes, it is very much so.
Keep that on leash.
There are entire columns of people being knocked over currently. Fernaleus, in his mind, he has just seen one of the most erotic things he's ever seen in his life, and being where he's from, he's seen a lot. But this feeds that one side of him that he's suppressed since he was a child, that he's always been a bit fearful of, but at the same time, it's sort of that dark desire that's always deep inside. He's never really been able to express. The few times he has had carnal relations with another, he's had to hold that back. At one time, he actually did seriously injure a young lady because he did not resist that urge to bite. And needless to say, that relationship ended right there, because she was not into that. But he just saw this strong woman destroy a man with lust. He just saw that lust, that power he's had with him, that darkness turned into a weapon and wielded so well that she was able to actually clean herself with a small handkerchief. He recalls when that did happen, and as he was, of course, panicking, blood was everywhere, and it was all over him. And he thinks he felt that blast earlier, but he didn't get the same from this. Her rage terrifies him, but this does not. This lures him. And he thinks to himself, maybe the best way for him and his companions to get through this is to get an ally. Yes, she may not be willing to remove the anklets from us yet, but without her help, the chances of them ever coming off may not be a thing that they will ever see in our future. So he at that moment, he sort of in his mind steels himself that he is going to become the friend, with air quotes, of this being, of this vampire, Lady Adra.
As the stage lights fade from our two previous companions and illuminate Tane, the Geat from the frozen lands, he has seen far too much horror in a short period of time. And Dave, just quick, you have a spirit score of 4, and you have, right? Is it 4 or 5 or 6? I know it was really low.
It's a 6 because I put
6?
points in it. Yeah.
Okay. You are... Okay, perfect. I can narrate this properly now. He is teetering on the edge of the abyss. He's well past himself being tainted. And right now, it's like being on a high cliff and that subconscious whispering somewhere unknowable that says, jump. But we see that Tane is stout enough in the face of the darkness. He is tainted now. His fingernails, his fingertips begin to darken. He does not weep the tears of shadow, but he does look down to see the tips of his fingers become a bit of a grayish hue, almost as if he had been playing in charcoal for a little too long and had not washed his hands properly. Let's see what is in the heart and the mind of Tane at this time.
So Tane is seeing what's happening in front of him, at least his eyes are. He saw the act occur, but when the shadow washed over him, he distinctly heard his uncle standing next to him saying that, what was he saying? His uncle would tell him that fate is inexorable. The weavers, they're constantly weaving our strands. And when we are tainted, and he's imagining the fate weavers, these he always saw them in his mind. As he feels the cold in his hands, it's beginning to rush into him like the snow. And the voice in his head, they dance, they weave. But these are not the fate weavers he saw when he was a child, for they are beautiful creatures, but their face are masked in horrid, hideous masks. And they see his strand as it's dipped in. And for a minute, he almost sees the strand to break as he realizes that he's standing over a cliff, holding on to a branch. The only thing that's holding on for him is this loose coldness, this snow under his feet as he is screaming for Tryggvi. Tryggvi! Tryggvi! And in that moment where he's thinking, I should just let go. And as he did so, his uncle hauls him up and says, not today, boy. Not today. And for a moment, it swirls in the light of his uncle, and he passes out onto the floor.
As the spotlight fades from that scene in Tane's mind, the camera fades out. It leaves the house of Lady Adra. It goes far beyond the borders of this land called Mizarine, flies across the treetops of the rainforest, and we find ourselves back in the city of Felport. In the past couple weeks, the city is now bursting at its seams with Arborians who are singing war songs, and in the light, the dying light of day, are the light that they as a people descended from dryads so fervently crave. There's countless shrine warriors lounging in the streets, dressed for war, and in some cases are in some stages of misdressed, as a few shirtless or a handful naked are taking in the rain. The camera finds two familiar faces on this stage. An Ignead, abnormally tall for his species, known as Kel Blackheart. He sits across the table from Captain Grimnir of the Dawnthorn. And Grimnir growls, "Where is Goranus? He's 3 days late." Kel, across the table, smiles and replies, "Be careful, Mother Hen. You might train this Goranus that you care too much." Grimnir shoots him an evil look, and he softens and looks to the Moonfolk, young woman sitting next to him, Zakiti. "Find Rin for us." Zakiti takes out a pouch. She just dump like a purse. She just, like a woman's purse. She dumps the shit out on the table, and she gets some pigments and a candle, and she draws a circle. She lights these candles, and she smashes a few berries and grinds up some bones of an exotic fish, and she pricks her finger, and then she mutters a few things, a few ritualistic words, almost like the eyes almost roll back in her head. She almost falls the fuck off of her chair, and then Grim, being the the uncle figure that he has, expertly like scoops her up, kind of like puts her back into her chair and holds her there. There's a few moments where she mutters some things. She snaps out of her trance and she says, Rin wishes us to know that Goranis is well, but there was a hurricane that has been chasing them for the past chain. Thus, they have lost 3 days. They are just outside the lip of Felport now. And Kel says, so they're passing the whale bones. Grimnir nods. Good. We'll be fine then. How's the ship? Well, the ship is fine. They have silk sails now. Goranis wants you to know, Captain, that they have silk sails. You don't have silk sails. I'm glad the boy has not lost his spirit. Tell them that I wish them a safe journey and that they're late. Again. She smiles at that and again performs the ritual of speaking at distance again. The stage lights fade from this scene, and we go through the streets, choked with these Arborians ready to wage bloody war on the kingdom of Tehran that would desecrate the temple of the Thunderlord, Saint Corwin. And that is where we will end tonight's session. Thank you for showing up, everybody. I hope it was not too horrific, but we will be back next week. Same time, same place. Be there. Good night, everybody.